All right, folks, welcome on into another edition of the High School Huddle, your one-stop shop for everything and all things Section 5 sports. I'm AJ Fellman. He's Carl Jones. Playoffs are chugging along. In football, we're into the semifinals. Sectionals all wrapped up for soccer. We're on to the Far West Regionals, volleyball, into the semifinals and finals, depending on your gender. We got field hockey already in the books. We're cooking through this thing, Carl.
Like we've been talking about, man, it's been fun. It's been fun to watch the emotion on the kids' faces. They know this winter go home time, and they work their tail off all off season to get to this point. Saw a couple of bricks raised the past few weeks or so, and it never gets old seeing the kids when that final buzzer hits and they run off the field right to the student section and celebrate, and then do it all over again once they raise the brick. It takes you back to when you were a kid yourself, and just that joy and that elation that you have when something great like that happens. So it's fun to watch from my perspective on the little camera. I can't imagine how they're feeling out there.
Talking about when you were a little kid, acting like you're 40, 50 years old, thinking way back in the day.
I played my last high school game 8 years ago at this point, all right? So, 6 or 7, whatever. Regardless, it was a long time ago, and I got about 2 different careers since then. So it's long enough for me.
Speaking of those careers, Carl got the chance to head back to the old alma mater. Didn't quite go as way as we planned for Syracuse against Notre Dame there.
Nah, it didn't go. I mean, first played the game, pick 6. I was like, man, this type of game is going to be. Every time we played the Domers, something like that happens. Lost our quarterback in 2018. We were both ranked high, and then this year lost Schrader at halftime due to an undisclosed injury. It's tough, but we'll bounce back. We'll find a way. We're still in the CFP rankings. Obviously, the playoffs are out of the questions, but now we're just competing to see how warm our bowl game is going to be. I don't want to be in the Little Caesars in Detroit or the Pinstripe Bowl. No offense to anybody who lives in the city. I'm just trying to go down south. You feel me? So still proud of the guys for this point, but we got some work left to do.
Exactly. Yeah. Tough to go back to back Clemson and Notre Dame. But hey, they got Pitt on the road, finally playing on the road for the first time, third time all year, I believe it is. So shout out to the Syracuse Orange for their strong start still. Speaking of, some football teams making some noise, we once again going through our high school football rankings, our local rankings, the only ones you can find in the area. Not a ton of changes. I can't emphasize this enough, how little these rankings are going to change from last week. We're just basically going to, trudge through and talk about the teams that won as we get there, because, hey, we got 10 spots in our big school rankings. We got 12 teams left. So we're basically just going to get to just about every single one of these games that happen as we get through them. Starting off with the UPrep, the UPrep Griffins, number 1, 9-0. More of a convincing win we've seen from the Griffins in weeks past. Carl, you got the chance to get you a little bit of the Griffins taking down Fairport there.
Yeah, I was there for the second half, and as soon as I got there, Darius Pohl started to go crazy. The first highlight that I have is one where he catches a little screen pass. Defender tries to tackle him, get off me, going out the side, and then makes a couple other guys miss, and now he's going down the middle of the field. It's an amazing play, the transfer from California that I was able to speak to earlier this past season. Then he had another touchdown later in the third quarter, and so UPrep was able to, expand the lead a little bit. I mean, we've been asking and wondering, do they have that extra gear? We know they're very talented and great, but they've played a lot of close games in this in the run up to the postseason. Well, they show that when they're clicking, they can put up some points and put them up in a hurry.
Yeah, 52-20, the final score there. So UPrep finally kind of getting out of their offensive slump a little bit. The defense has been strong throughout. We've kind of been not ragging on, but highlighting some of the flaws of the offense penalty wise. Defense has been really cooking all throughout this season. So good to see them finally get a nice a feel-good win, I guess you could say. Number 2, Victor stays at 8-1. I was at the Victor Aquinas game. Victor won 28-13. Kind of a weird game in the way that it kind of transpired down the end. Victor got up by 2 touchdowns. Aquinas got another score. C.J. Robinson got them within 8 points. Then Victor got the ball back. They got to midfield. They got stopped on 4th down. And then with 5-6 seconds left, just a really weird play, controversial play. Incorrectly officiated play. One of those 3 phrases is going to be your phrase of choice, depending on how you feel about this game. The quarterback, Will Benjamin, or Ben Newman, I believe it. Yeah, Ben Newman. doesn't find anything, starts to scramble, gets a couple yards, starts his slide. Not the prettiest slide in the world. As he's starting this slide down, gets absolutely, well, first he gets hit by one defender, and if that was the only hit, I think we're still all right here, because it was a pretty awkward slide. Second defender comes out and just lights him up. It was just a big hit. It wasn't to the head. It wasn't anything like that, other than it being maybe a little late during a slide. There was nothing dirty about it, but the ball came flying loose. I think everybody was waiting for that flag to get thrown into the air to the late hit on the quarterback. Never came. So, Victor recovered the fumble. There was quarterback was down. He did stay in the game. Aquinas coaches obviously made a big fuss about it. Then after that, Victor did get stopped, but Aquinas got the ball deep in their own territory and they couldn't get anything going. So a weird way for that game to end. But once again, Victor takes care of business against Aquinas. As Aquinas season, a disappointing season, but they got a lot coming back, certainly with their quarterback and the running back. At number 3, Schrader, 9-0, taking care of business. Drew Pagano still has not played yet. We talked about it last week about how he did not play in the regular season finale. He did not play last week. I did text their coach a little bit. Still TBD when he's going to come back. They're hoping he comes back soon. It's coming, maybe not quite as maybe as quickly as they'd like, but he's still TBD. So certainly not ruled out for the playoffs. Certainly not, coming back this week for sure, 100%. Maybe he is, but certainly something to keep an eye on going forward. McQuaid got it done, a 49-21 victory over Rush Henrietta. A weird game in the fact that Rush Henrietta started out 14-0. I saw the text, the tweets, like, oh, we might upset alert. Then McQuaid finally pulled away from the Royal Comets there.
Yeah, literally an avalanche. I mean, a kickoff return for a touchdown, then they get the ball back on 3 and out. John Harding, I believe, punches one in, and then they get a fumble, scoop and score, 21 points in like a minute play or something like that. To literally completely turn the tide. Now you're down. Now you're up 21-14 going into the half, as opposed to being down 14-0. And then from there, the Knights, put their foot on the gas and then took off from there. But that was definitely one where I saw a couple tweets. I'm like, hold on. Do I gotta go change my route a little bit? Hold on, what's going on? But McQuaid ended up doing what they were supposed to do and take care of business in that one.
Yeah, McQuaid. They also did get Will DeMarco back at quarterback. He started off the season. I think he missed a week, then he came back for a week, and then he started, he missed like the last 3-ish games of the regular season. He is back, so that's a good sight to see. They'll be taking on Victor in the semifinals. That's going to be one heck of a football game. At number 5, you've got Hilton at 8-1, taking care of business against Gates Chile. Maybe a little slower start than we would have liked for highlight purposes, but eventually Hilton got it done there. At number 6, you've got East at 9-0, once again, taking care of business against Wilson Early College. At number 7, you got Pittsford taking down Penfield. The Penfield team that, as we mentioned last week, had that upset against Aquinas. They moved into our rankings. Everybody's healthy now for the Pittsburgh Panthers. They got Luke Flisblack. They got Jackson Greenback, who did play in that regular season finale. Caleb Lewis did not play in that regular season finale to CBA. So that was kind of the reason why their offense didn't do anything there. But they got all their 3 main prongs of their offensive attack, and they're going to get UPrep in that semifinals. Oh boy, it's going to be a game.
That's going to be a track meet, man. I don't know off the top of my head what the score was of the first matchup. Well, Pittsburgh was missing guys in that first matchup.
Yeah,
so
Pittsburgh was out 2 of their receivers. It was still closer than expected. I think it was like a 20-16 game, so it still kept close. But it's going to be one heck of a battle on Friday.
Yeah, there's going to be some sparks flying in that one, some big plays. Hopefully the highlights live up to the expectation in that one.
And as we mentioned last week, this AA bracket, and Carl did a story, you can find it on rochesterfirst.com a little bit, go into more depth into this. But there are 2 representatives coming from Class AA in the state tournament this year. So if you win this game this weekend, you are on to the state tournament. Even with a loss in the championship game, you will still be playing. You're going to have to travel a little bit farther. You're going to have to travel to the Albany area, but you're still going to be playing the state tournament. So it is nice that we do have a core elite 4 teams where you're still going to have to work, even if no matter what, you're going to work to get that berth.
Yeah, I don't want to travel out to Albany for a weekend game where I don't know how far Albany is off the top of my head, but it's not as close as where I believe Section 5, the crossover game between Section 5 and 6 is in Rochester this year. So that's a little bit of a trek that you have to do taking the L next week. So yeah, it's definitely a lot to play for despite an at-large bid.
Exactly. And then at number 8, we've got Canandaigua, who took care of business in their matchup. At number 9, we got Brighton moving up in our rankings from number 10 to number 9, coming in at 7-2 now. They once again got it done in their quarterfinal matchup again. Martinovic doing what he does best. As I pull up their, they beat Thomas 27-9, so never really in doubt in that one. And then at number 10, we've got the Brockport Blue Devils at 5-4. Another, a come from behind victory for Brockport. And, they're a young team, but they know how to get it done here.
They got some guys. They got some dudes. I mean, it starts with their quarterback, though. I mean, if you've ever watched any of our football frenzies, Landon Scott, I mean, he's a legit quarterback dual threat. He can get it done. Did it again, and the comeback went over down when I got there, and then boom, they're taking off from all get off him. Nathan Parker's also a hell of a running back as well. He has some, I believe Ryan Miller's another receiver that can get things done. The Blue Devils, I mean, they've picked things up the second half of the season. They're more than deserving of this 10 spot for sure.
Yeah, and as we mentioned last week, not only are they good and exciting, they're young. So no matter how far this run goes for Brockport, whether or not they get bounced this week, it's going to pay dividends for the future. They've got an East team coming up they're going to be traveling to East, so that's certainly a tough test for them. But anything that you get done in this playoffs is going to be good experience for them as well. And then we do also, they're not making our ranks, but we just want to highlight Eastridge beat Athena 50-48. That was a game.
I got there, I believe, late second quarter. It was 28-28, and I just needed a couple lights, just a couple. I was gonna take a sack. I was gonna take whatever. I just needed a couple. Both teams got me a touchdown and a couple. I think I got a strip sack as well. Man, that was a track meet. Eastridge, second week in a row that I was able to catch them. They got some guys, and I'm not just saying that because I've seen them twice. Lua Mozone is a dude. He got 3 touchdowns. I really like 5 minutes when I saw him in week 2. And then last week, Cordell Young, I know from the basketball court, Brendan Russo, the quarterback, Amir Rogers, I believe, getting throwing the go-ahead touchdown, or another go-ahead, the touchdown to get them within striking distance. Eastridge got some guys on the outside, man, and they're exciting to watch. Please go watch our Lights the Past Week on the Lancers because they got guys who are exciting to watch.
And I mean, they're going to get Canandaigua in the semifinal matchup here. They played in the regular season. It was 39-19 Eastridge, but I'm not counting them out. I'm certainly not doing that. Canandaigua hasn't shown enough where I'm just penciling them into the next round. It could be exciting. You never know there.
Oh yeah, for sure. Now to the little guys. Actually, that's disrespectful. I'm gonna call them the little guys. I'm going to the small school division. Starting off with our number 1 team. Not much changing at all. Actually, nothing changed. But
Nothing changed
at all. We're still gonna highlight team by team, just what they did last week. Batavia doing what the Blue Devils have done best this year with another win, 35-0 over Dansville Waco. Down to Monroe, a little bit scared up against Geneva, winning 16-0. I don't know what that was about. That was a Saturday game, so you weren't able to catch that either. But I hope someone has an answer on why Monroe played in that manner. But
I mean, Geneva does have a pretty stingy defense, so they can slow people down at times. Monroe's quarterback played. It seemed like all their weapons played. So eventually they figured it out. But you get the wins any way you can, and if you do it with a 16-0 shutout, hey, you'll take it.
Survive in advance. That's the name of the game this time of year. To number 3, I mean, OAE. I mean, if I said they scored 70 points this week, would you guys be shocked? Because they did. They won 70-28 over Geneseo. Once again, the Class D team is just nuts and just ludicrous. Hopefully, we can catch them at some point before this season wraps up. HFL is our number 4 team. They took down Palmac 48-22. They're going to have a nice matchup with Monroe this week. Little rematch of what transpired, I believe, in week 6. So hopefully that one lives up to the billing. Leroy, close one. I believe Leroy took down Haverling In round one, 1-8 matchup, 28-20. Now, it was 28-14 in the fourth quarter, but still a much closer game than I think any of us expected. Attica, an even closer matchup, taking down Letchworth Warsaw Perry 14-10. Now, you saw Letchworth and how that offense can get you real in a funk, and maybe Attica got in that same funk.
I mean, it is quite possible, I didn't see this game, that Attica scored on both of their possessions, and they only had 2 possessions because Letchworth Warsaw Perry had like 10-minute drives each time. It didn't happen, but you get what I'm saying here. It's quite possible. I mean, that game gets shrunk. That's, New York Giants against the Patriots in the Super Bowl. They shrink that game down as much as they can. So it's tough to blow out a Letchworth Warsaw Perry.
For sure. And then I'll tell you who did blow someone out. That's East Rochester Gananda, 38-0. They've been looking solid. This took the early loss to Attica, I believe week 1, but ever since then they've been trucking along. So shout out to the Bombers. Penyan Dundee took down Mid Lakes for the second time this year, winning 40-7. Alexander, the Class D team that no one talks about, quite frankly, because OAE is just so dominant. They won another game, move on to 8-0 on the year, 33-0 shutout win. And then our 8-man team coming in 10th again, Kennesdale Greenwood with a 36-6 win. Nothing changed really, but I know a lot of these teams will match up with each other this upcoming week, and I can't wait, especially that 2-4 matchup between Monroe and HFL.
Yeah, and 2 things I want to highlight out of that. East Rochester Gananda, Manny Sepulveda becoming Section 5's all-time leader in reception. So congratulations to him. Did it on a touchdown. And they're just also getting it done with their, their run game. They've got a really good dynamic attack, 2-man threat, Daniels and CD Sneed. So shout out to them. And then not making our rankings, but I just want to highlight Livonia beating up on Wayne 44-6. They're going to get Batavia in the semifinals. Livonia's been a weird team in that early in the season, we really wrote them off. They lost to Geneva. They got blown out by Batavia. And then they lost to Dansville Waco, which was a really surprising result. But ever since then, I wish I could figure out exactly what the heck happened here. They blew out Newark Marion. They lost close to Monroe. They blew out Bishop Kearney. They blew out Palmac. They blew out Wayne. They blew out Wayne again, back-to-back weeks. The 2 results of those 2 Wayne games were 88-9 combined. And Wayne has kind of been a frisky team all year, loses to the good teams, beats the bad teams. But something's going on with Livonia where something changed. I don't know if they got a player back. I don't know what happened, but something changed with this Livonia team where they're not, I don't think it'd be an easy out, a super easy out at least, for Batavia in this semifinals.
Yeah, I watched them against BK. And going in, we were like, we don't know what we're going to expect out of these 2 teams. The records aren't the greatest. And then I'm leaving. It's like 28-0 at the half. And I'm like, I'm not going to make any grand statements from this one. But Livonia, nice offense, ground and pound, hit you in the mouth, and opportunistic on defense. We'll see how that stacks up against the Blue Devils team that's brung it every single week thus far this year.
Exactly. So, yeah, those are our rankings. Those are kind of the best matchups we're looking for on the sides of these teams. Like we said, this AA thing with multiple teams getting these berths makes this semifinal week certainly a little more interesting. But for these other sports, we are already through the sectional championships. Our bricks have been raised. We'll start off with the girls soccer, the stuff that I got to see on Saturday. It was in the Class AA game. It was Schrader taking down Hilton by a 3-0 result. Megan Fry and that Schrader defense, once again, just putting the clamps on it with their 15th shutout of the season. If you can't hear me properly, that is a 1-5 15th shutout of the season for Megan Fry. She's only given up 4 goals on the season. She had 7 saves on the afternoon. Abby Hertz scored their first 2 goals. One of them, a bit of a mistake by the Hilton goaltender. The second, a PK goal where she just buried that. And then they got another one before the half by Alyssa Duty to give them a 3-0 victory. Schrader will take on Clarence on Friday nights in the Far West Regional games. These Far West Regional games being played in Buffalo's neck of the woods at Niagara Wheatfield High School. And then in Class A, life, death, taxes, Spencerport girls soccer, 7 in a row, 2-0 victory.
What you want me to say? Like, early in the year, we're like, whatever. And then I wasn't able to watch them this year, so I'm not gonna say that I wrote them off. But I'm like, oh man, they don't lose. I saw that team last year.
Don't lose. Yeah, we keep finding ways to invent ways to talk about how Spencerport isn't going to win, and they just keep on doing it. They won 2-0 over Churchville Chili, redeeming their only loss of the regular season. It was Lindsey Leonard scoring in the first half, Sydney Kuhn scoring on a brilliant header, a beautiful header-looking header from Liana Tata for both those goals. Kate Burns had some really nice saves. This game was 2-0, but that first half was really an evenly played game. Kate Burns had to make 9 saves in the game. Really, a lot of high quality chances in that first half. That was no, Spencerport dominates the field of play. And it's just 2-0 and whatever, go home. That was a tight game. That was a tough game. So shout out to the Rangers for getting that done on the girls soccer side. And then on the boys soccer, plenty of bricks raised on Tuesday night. Carl was able to get to our AA and A matchups for the boys soccer side.
Yeah, so apparently the boys Rangers got jealous of the girls dominating all these years, so they decided to match energy this year, raising a brick, taking down Sutherland, who had won the previous 4 sectional titles. So Spencerport won 2-1 in the Class A championship this week. It's their 13th in sectional title in history, and the first one since way back in 2012. Andrew Wiebeld scored off a rebound early on to put him on top 1-0, and then Kyle Milborn, I've said his name on Section 5 Best this year and was able to see him in person. That's a dude. He's their school's all-time points leader, scoring like a little fancy goal, took the team on by himself to put the Rangers up 2-0. Sutherland added a late goal late to make it 2-1, but they couldn't beat the Fortress from there. Spencerport, I mean, the boys doing their thing. I don't know if you were able to catch them this year, but that team is fun to watch. Milborn himself, like, once again, I'm not like the biggest soccer guy, but I know good when I see good, and that boy good, all right? So shout out to Mr. Milburn, man. He had a hell of a game in that one. And then in Class AA, McQuaid getting back on top for the first time since 2019. But in 2019, technically they shared it with Fairport and they lost on PKs in their first outright brick since 2017. I believe they have a ridiculous amount of shutouts this year. I want to say it's their 14th shutout, led by Nyan Ruffin in goal for McQuaid. I don't know if you've ever seen McQuaid's goalie, but
I have. Yeah.
He's
been around for a while too. I think I saw him maybe in his sophomore year when they played football or soccer. It was the only sport, so we got us to wear soccer games. I think I saw him his sophomore year. He was still huge.
I'm looking at him. I'm like, I always tease Paul Gotham about like who on a soccer field I can go steal to go play football. And I'm like, hey, I'm not debating you on this one. I'm taking him. He's playing football. I'm calling Dino Babers right now, okay? But he's also obviously a phenomenal talent on the pitch as well. 14 shutouts this year. And McQuaid, I mean, trucking along. They won 2-0. Dylan Bucci scored the first goal off of a nice free kick. Midway through the first half, and then Kevin Miller, nice 20-yard goal. I didn't think he was going to shoot it. Thank God I didn't put the camera down because that's happened to me a lot last year. I've been more patient this year, staying off my phone. But the Knights going up 2-0 and never looked back from there. Fun game, and that was one of those games where the student section was so rowdy. Obviously, you know all about the McQuaid student section and how much love they show. So it was a fun night. It was a lot warmer this year as opposed to the last year's sectional championship with the boys because I was dying last year. But it was foggy, kind of weird. I don't know if you've seen the highlights at all, but it was a fun Tuesday night nonetheless.
Yeah, and then the thing about these Far West regional games, they're being played at Spencerport, so Spencerport's going to be at home sweet home for that one. Funnily enough, they're playing against Niagara Wheatfield, which is where the girls' games are going to be played. So a little bit of a coincidence there. And then also you've got moving on to the Far West Regionals. I got the chance to finally see, we've been talking about them all year, the Avon Braves of Class C, the undefeated #1 in the state Avon Braves, and they lived up to the hype. I only saw them for just about a half of play because that's all I needed to see. I saw Lee Harkey score 2 goals for us. He became our player of the week. I saw them control the entire course of action. I don't know if Avon's goalie actually made a save while I was there. He might have I think he made one actually. But once again, this is one of these teams, we obviously see these with these great small school teams that we see, Avon being in Class C. You can't tell that they're a Class C team at all. They've got size, they've got speed, They've got good passing. It just looks like they're a complete team, and you can totally see just why they've gotten that #1 ranking in the state. They're going to be a tough out. They're the only undefeated team in all of Class C, so they're going to be tough to beat. I'm not putting my money on anybody else. They're going to take on Portville in the Far West Regional games. They're at #7 in the state ranking. So Avon might be one of these teams that goes on these long runs on a state run to a state tournament here.
I don't know if AJ said this, but I'm reading his article. He said they dominant, cool, they whatever, undefeated, blase, whatever. Yeah, he right. 73 goal differential? What is that? I don't care if you in 8-man soccer or however many players you got on the pitch. What? Man, shout out to the Braves, man. That's nuts, man. Lord have mercy. Praying for whoever they got to go against.
Exactly. So shout out to them. And then the other teams in boys soccer, Livonia and Fillmore moving on. Livonia in Class B knocking off Bishop Kearney in that crossover game 2-0. Bishop Kearney was very highly ranked in the state. They, as I pull it up right now, Bishop Kearney was one of these also teams where we're like, maybe head out there for a story, things like that. Bishop Kearney had been playing really well all season long. In fact, I think they fell down because of their loss, but shout out to Livonia for getting it done, moving on to the Far West Regionals. And then finally, our last bricks we've got raised, we have field hockey championships are in the books. We had Brighton winning the Class A championship by a 5-2 result, their first since 2015. And we actually both got a chance to see Brighton, I believe. I don't think I'm talking out of turn here. They kind of went on this great run through the I think we might have gone to the other semifinal game. But Brighton, they started as the 5 seed. They beat East Rochester against Chile. They won in the semifinals, and they got it done in the championship game. So shout out to the Bruins for getting it done there. And then in Class B, one of the games that I was looking forward to seeing for sure, Sutherland beating Mendon, their first sectional title since 2012. I'm getting that correct. They had lost in the championship game the last 4 years, 2 of those in overtime, 2 of those shutout losses. So it had been a rough time for the Knights getting this one done. I'm actually going to be going out here later today, actually, to do a story on it. We're going to see it on Friday's newscast. So shout out to the Knights for finally getting the monkey off their back there.
Man, I know those girls. It's just a whole bunch of just finally getting over the hump, because coming up short that many times, you just start pointing fingers and start going like, man, what is this even meant to be? But clearly it was. They were able to finally raise that brick. And you just think about some of the seniors who dealt with COVID and all those losses and all that stuff. So to go out on top, I'm sure is very fun for those ladies.
Yeah, that is. And then we've also got volleyball. None of these results are in the books yet, but nothing is too surprising of what we've seen so far. In girls volleyball, it is once again Fairport, or not once again, it is what we expected. Fairport and Penfield in the championship game. Some other schools that are moving on: Arcadia and Irondequoit in A1, Mercy and Sutherland in A2, Wayne and Waterloo in Class B. There's a lot of Class C and D, so we're not going to run through all of those because that'd be a lot of names to throw at you. So we're looking forward to that. Unfortunately, these AA and A championship games are on Friday, so we're going to be out running for all these football. I don't know if we'll be able to work those into our schedule. We still got to figure that out. I don't know whose idea it was to schedule all these volleyball championship games on, sectional semifinal Friday, but hey, I don't draw the maps. I don't know what we're doing there.
Yeah, I'm not gonna throw anybody under the bus. I wasn't involved with the logistics of this, but as someone who enjoys these sectional games, that's disappointing on my end at least. But I'm sure they had a valid reason for, at least I hope, having volleyball matched up with football this late in the year.
Yeah, and plus, it's the Class B and Class AA championships are being played at Victor, where there is going to be a sectional semifinal game being played. So note to, I haven't drawn the map yet, but whoever's going to that game, good luck getting parking. Yeah. And Victor does have a lot of space. So it could be worse. Oh, who would be really bad? McQuaid would be pretty bad. That can get tight there. But that's not going to be fun navigating that. I'll say that.
Oh man, I'm just dreading either one of us having to go to that AQ. Victor?
McQuaid, yeah.
Sheesh, man. That's just, yeah, actually, I'll take that back. Whatever I said before about the logistics of this, shame on you. No, I'm kidding. But man, that's unfortunate for sure.
No, so we already kind of talked about our games to watch, games of the week, so we won't get to that. Oh, we did get to the boys volleyball. Boys volleyball are still in the sectional semifinals. Let me see. Let me get this correct. Looking up the music. Class A, McQuaid, Fairport, Webster, Penfield. Class B, Irondequoit, Brockport, and then Spencerport versus Mid-Lakes. So those should be some good matchups as well. Those games being played on Saturday, those semifinal games. So they knew to keep away from football on Friday night. So we won't, squeeze the knife a little bit too much. We won't turn the knife a little bit too much there, but we're not excited. I wasn't excited to see that.
Yeah, I'm not excited to hear you say that either. I'm like, oh man, because like I said, the volleyball, nothing's gonna ever top, at least from my experience outside of football and basketball sports. Actually, no, that hockey sectional game was legit. Regardless, I had a lot of fun in that sectional title game last year between Victor and Penfield, and I was enjoying some more of that.
Exactly. So we'll see if we can get out there. Whatever we'll be able to get to, it'll be a lot. We always get to a lot. So that'll do it for us this week on the High School Huddle. Next week, sectional football championship preview show, as well as previewing all the other state tournament runs. We love having you along for the ride. Thank you for listening. Once again, you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts. You can listen to us on Spotify. You can watch us on rochesterfirst.com. You can watch us on YouTube. Lots of ways to get involved with the show. For Carl Jones, I am AJ Feldman. It is now time to break the huddle. Thank you very much for listening, and we will see you next time.